Hello everyone. I would like to present another take on the Frost Mage using the Frozen Orb as an enchantment rather than the Frostbolt. Since the Frostbolt enchant, while it increases the chill on target, but it's only then for the abilities you use, which would be Frost Nova and the Shards. The Frozen Orb, however, flies independently towards the target. Though it's a 30% chance, it is also triggered on the ice shards that fly towards frozen targets, which means you can increase the occurrence of it. When that explodes, it deals more damage. Naturally speaking, increases the overall DPS of the build, again, which makes it better than the other alternatives that we currently have. With the recent buff or debuff on the fire's passives in the tree, though they give you 30% more on crit in case that the target is already burning. Yes, it is great, but the Frozen Orbs get, because they are core skill, get the benefit from any affixes you have on your weapons, which increase core skill damage. As well as all the frost benefits you have from the skill when you stack it up. And the debuffs from burning is not that much damage considering how fast the enemies die. Even though you can do 30% more crit damage, it's still not worth it in my opinion. The skill, the build comes with all the typical benefits for the Frost Mage, all the defensive abilities. Frost Nova is barely in use anymore, so you don't really need to waste an affix for the one that gives you double Frost Nova. It does help in PvP though. PvP, that's very advantageous. One of the great things about that build is in boss fights you can apply more chill, and as a result more often stun the boss. That's the idea. It's a control build. You see the damage output is not spectacular when you compare it to some other builds, but it's more for cleaning out trash waves, farming items, just farming your glyphs up, or helping your friends and pulling them through an instance. So that is the base of it. As for the gear that is required, you definitely need the pants, because frozen targets that die have up to 20% chance to unleash a Frost Nova, which is the entire idea of that build, so you can clear out the screen without even seeing the enemies. The other important part would be Raiments of the Infinite, which gives you the ability to teleport, pull enemies towards the center, and as a result, instantly kill them, thanks to the Frost Nova. The Frostburn gloves are advantageous, naturally speaking, because they have up to 25% chance on lucky hit to instantly freeze the target, but they require you to have a lot of lucky hit in the first place. Number two, it's very hard to find them. For me, it took 84 levels. Alternatively, you can use any other gloves that, for example, give you primary resource on lucky hit, that give you attack speed, very great with that build, attack speed rules. Ice Shards +4 massively increases the damage. In my case, the damage goes from 6.5 to 8.1, so it's definitely an advantage to take regular gloves over that, and you get more stats on it. Let's say you have 50 intelligence or dex or willpower in order to unlock your tree later on. Offhand weapon, or one-handed weapon, offhand weapon versus a staff. Staff increases your damage for your shards again massively. If you combine it, you bring it up to over 10,000, which is great, but you lose the benefit of the double aspect. In my case, I'm using Core Mastery's 38% more chance for critical strikes. Direly needed in my case, as my critical strike chance is only 23%, so that brings me around the 60s, which is nice. Ice Shards pierce, it is actually needed, so the Ice Shards can, when you freeze a target, Ice Shards will conjure and fly automatically towards it, and then they can pierce off each other off, so again increases damage. Boots, in that case, get the benefit from the Ice Shards. Attacks reduce evade cooldown, which means every Ice Shard that flies, even though you didn't trigger it because automatically, will get counters towards an attack, so you can zoom around the battlefield endlessly. Again, great for PvP, in case you like me and you like it. You don't need to reneed it. Ranks of Teleport comes on boots, which is great. Movement speed on elite kills is useless. You want to have flat increases there. Ranks of Frost Nova, not really needed, but you know, when you have it. Mana cost reduction, very good. Headpiece, life, more mana. Stats like willpower or dexterity is great. And lucky hit chance while you have a barrier, also super important. Necklace, if you can get one with glass cannon, that'd be great. Glass cannon is the greatest damage increase you can get because it's across the board. The +3 on defensive skills, not really needed, nice to have. +1 to permafrost, one of those passives, very good for DPS, it's great. Control and perturbation, worthless stat. Rings, you want to go for double mana, double life, damage to frozen targets, and crit damage. It's pretty much straightforward there, no surprises. Now let's take a look at the tree. I said Frostbolt as a passive enchant to get 17% chill per hit, or you take, in that case, Frozen Orb, what I do, which is 34 +9 when it explodes, and it's an AoE effect, so you affect more people, more targets, which is great. And you get the benefits because the orb is triggered. You get the 30% damage explosion, and you apply more vulnerability. Vulnerability in that build usually means you're triggered by the ice shards. Only if 5 ice shards hit, but thanks to the Frozen Orb, it affects everyone. Frost Nova is not that often needed anymore, but if you would use it, you still get more vulnerability. I have 0 points in teleport, no need because I'm getting it from my gear. Ice armor, I wouldn't have need to put a skill point in there too, but I like the +15% chance to become frozen. And that's another great benefit there. That means you have 15 plus the gloves is already 40%. So flame shield, the standard, adds the emergency heal, which is instant. Lucky hit chance increase 15%, you need that. Protection, cooldowns gives you a barrier. Yes, that is necessary as well. You always want to have a barrier. Standard, there's no surprises in the rest of the skill. And then you use Shatter, of course. So when you teleport the targets into one location, you freeze them. When they die, 25% of that damage is spread as an AoE effect, and then they can also create Frost Novas. And that's how you clear screens. When the boss is triggering ads, pull them all on the boss, and you pop them like a cherry. PvP the same if you meet a Necromancer, and the Necromancer is using minions, you can one-shot them. 2 enemy players close to each other, you teleport them together, and you poof. It's like 4th of July. Paragon board. It's going to look a bit different than the standard boards you see from other players, so bear with me. We take, as a first one, we take the Enchanter as the first glyph. It benefits from the 70 intelligence you get in that cornerstone here, which means you get 70% more magical damage across the board. It's a no-brainer. It's pretty much the most powerful glyph you have on a board. Next board, we're going to go for the Enchantment Master. Reason being, you get access to 20% magic damage again, plus bonus 10. Then you have another one, 60% elites, and you get that early on, which is great. And you don't have to worry about fulfilling the willpower and dexterity requirement, because it's all free there. So that board is really amazing. You see how much you get on non-physical damage. It's 60% flat. You get the resistances, you don't much care, but you want to take the plus 10 intelligence you get from it, because why not? I'm using here the exploit glyph for more vulnerability damage. The next board is Icefall. Comes with the benefit of more cold damage, and more importantly, you get more chill application, so you can always ensure that you freeze, chill, and then freeze your target, which helps you on bosses. The faster and more often you can freeze them, the easier the boss fight's gonna be. Right, damage reduction from shield enemies. Naturally speaking, you want that. more damage to shield targets, which is great. However, you freeze them so quickly that that damage often goes out of the window. The glyph reduced destruction, more critical strike damage. What else we got? The next board is the Elemental Summoner. I took this one as my fourth board in order to get the benefit here, because it keeps the willpower requirements low. You will get maximum mana. That's 16 maximum mana here, another 4, another 4, and another 4. And that's how I got to 148. And with that one's going to be 156. The last board I'm going to take is going to be the Frostbite Glyph and the Frostfall. Frigid Fate. You take Frigid Fate. You just want to hit down to the glyph corner, and in the glyph corner you toss in, where we have it, even blind chicken, Frostbite. Increase damage to shield targets. You can alternatively, if you really want to use the fire as the rest of the people does, and you would have to go for Searing Heat, but I really recommend you put into consideration using the frozen orbs instead. As you can see in the video, it's quite advantageous. It even helps you when you go up against the events. The problem that I found as a Frost Mage is always that on those events you run out of cooldowns, you can't freeze them quickly enough. In lower levels, especially the Frost Nova is too often on cooldown, and the Deep Freeze is not available yet. So with the Frozen Orbs flying, they keep on chilling and freezing targets. Again, when a target dies while it's chilled, it spreads the Frost Nova effect, which makes those events a lot easier. That is also the benefit why I'm not using Frostbolt anymore, because that shows 30 or 20% of extra chill. It's just not worth it. You want to spam the love of frost to all possible targets at all given times. And PvP, benefit, more stuff that flies, more stuff other players have to watch out for. More likely you're going to get a kill. So I leave you with that, and I hope that helps for all your upcoming Frost Mages.